All right, the 49ers' big roster renovation is the center of focus. Have talked so much about the emulation of the Rams, but one thing that people are neglecting right now that I think is at the very centerpiece of all of this is San Francisco's big bet on Brock Purdy. If you look at the Rams model for all of this, the Rams, they didn't really blossom defensively until year 2 of their major renovation. That was the 2024 season. They were number 29 defensively over the course of the first 3 months, and that improved to number 5 over the course of the last month and then the postseason. So the Rams bet on Matthew Stafford, on Cooper Kupp, then on Puka Nacua in 2024 to carry them. The offense was the locomotive that pulled the train. And I think that reading in between the lines, it's quite obvious that the 49ers are looking at Purdy and the offense to be the driver of what happens for this football team. This is one of the largest votes of confidence that the 49ers can give Purdy, and we know that he's going to get the contract extension this offseason, and that, of course, is going to be the hard and fast bet on Purdy. But just read in between the lines right now. The 49ers are willing to draft this defense. There are going to be a lot of young players, especially on the defensive line. That's a position of man strength. That is, I think, an admission that this defense is not going to be at its peak, at least early in the 2025 season. And that in and of itself is going to break a lot of brains. People don't want to talk about that, right? People want to act like Brock Purdy is always going to be somebody on a team that's loaded, so they can always make the argument, which is made in tremendously bad faith, by the way. They want to make the argument that Brock Purdy is being carried by everybody else around him. But that just hasn't been the case. Ever since he entered the league in 2022, he's been the most efficient quarterback in football. And when you look at some more performance splits, Warren Sharp just came out with some today that are staggering. Brock Purdy, over the past 2 seasons, has actually been the most accurate go ball thrower in the entire NFL. So the very exact areas where people reserve their sharpest criticism for Brock Purdy are literally the spots where he ranks number 1 in the whole league. Like, let your brain wrap around that for a second. People say that he's not good at throwing outside the numbers and he's not strong enough with his arm to throw it deep. Well, on go routes, deep routes, outside the numbers, he's literally been the most accurate quarterback in the entire NFL over 2023 and 2024. So facts matter. And when you have these facts on your side as the 49ers, you can base your entire plan around the fact that your quarterback can potentially carry the team. Because let's think this all through to the natural finish line. Say that the 49ers don't sign any more, bigger name free agents or higher priced free agents, as looks to be the case. The Rams, if you look at the model in 2023, I wrote about it on the San Francisco Standard. They drafted 14 rookies and all 14 made the 53-man roster. They had 36 rookies on the 90-man roster at the time the training camp opened. Those were staggering numbers. And what the Rams did is that they opened the door and rolled out the red carpet for the rookies to win jobs. One of their executives, James Gladstone, is in Jacksonville now, and Gladstone has said that the Jaguars are going to do the same thing this year.
If you could evaluate, you guys didn't address defensive line, edge, in terms of your approach of what is already here and maybe what still needs to be added to the roster on those positions.
Yeah, we got 10 picks in this year's draft. We're going to have some spots that are actually open for them to insert. So, if you add a veteran at this point, could be just standing in the way. We're going to allow these rookies to, get a chance to get out on the field and help us this coming fall.
They don't want to add mediocre defensive linemen just on the veteran level through free agency, just so they will theoretically block the rookie linemen from winning jobs. So it is a take the lower floor in exchange for the higher potential ceiling kind of strategy. And when you look at the potential end game for the 49ers with that kind of strategy, Nick Bosa is really the only star along the defensive line right now. I get it. They've got other guys who they believe can blossom into better players like Yetur Gross-Matos, Evan Anderson. But they're going to have a lot of rookies coming in. And based on everything that we see right now, they're going to be unimpeded. They're going to have a chance to win jobs and contribute immediately for the 49ers. And if that happens, I think it's very, very likely that San Francisco's defensive ceiling for the first half of the year might even be like number 20, or at best number 15. It's not going to be a top half defense. I think that we all saw that it took the Rams a little bit to get going, but it was very worth it. And they relied on Stafford and the offense to keep them afloat until that defense got the job done. Look at Purdy, the most efficient quarterback in all of football since 2022, since he entered the league. Matthew Stafford has been number 18 in terms of efficiency over the course of the past 3 seasons, and the Rams have still been able to turn this around and finish 10-7 in each of the past 2 seasons. So the 49ers have what I think is a cheat code in Brock Purdy. And as you can tell, the rest of their moves have been assembled toward investing in the offense and also in the special teams, because that really hindered the 49ers last season. That's a separate issue entirely. But they've been investing in the offense on a level that is built around the quarterback. The first major move the 49ers made this offseason was directly targeted at perhaps their biggest weakness, the number 32, the dead last ranking in average yards of separation at the time of catch or incompletion. They traded Deebo Samuel, who was literally their worst separator, away to the Washington Commanders. So that was a direct move to build a more efficient receiving core around Brock Purdy. More moves, I'm sure, are still coming. They ended up signing Demarcus Robinson during the first wave of free agency, but we'll be able to identify how else the 49ers tried to improve the pass receiving game situation around their quarterback. The second area that the 49ers had to address to tailor this offensive efficiency around Brock Purdy was the run game. They were number 20 in first down run efficiency last year, which is not good enough. They were a top 3 team in years before the 2024 season, and they were absolutely atrocious when it came to running when the other team fairly certainly knew that it was coming. And you measure that by your success rate on third down and fourth down and short, less than 2 yards to go. They ranked number 31. Embarrassing, right? And I know that they didn't have Christian McCaffrey. I know that Jordan Mason was out for a lot of the year. Isaac Guerrero was hurt as well. Of course, the running back situation and the depleted room hurt the 49ers there. But I think that the blocking wasn't what it was in 2023 because they lost Charlie Werner. He might have been the most underrated player on the 49ers offense in 2023. Signs with the Atlanta Falcons, not too far from here. What is it, a 3.5-hour drive? We're in Tennessee right now. But Charlie Werner went back home to Georgia, signed with the Falcons, and the 49ers missed their big-time secondary blocking piece at the tight end position in 2024. So by signing Luke Farrell during the first wave of free agency, the 49ers got that Charlie Werner-like figure back. There were a couple days when we thought that was going to be the Kyle Juszczyk replacement as well, because the 49ers could not reach a pay cut agreement with Kyle Juszczyk, so Kyle asked for his release, tested free agency, then ultimately he found a number that he liked, $4 million per year, to return to the 49ers. So all was well that ended well for the 49ers in that case. Now they're going to have both Juszczyk and Luke Farrell. That is a big investment, $20 million for Farrell in his contract over 3 years, $8 million for Kyle Juszczyk in his contract over 2 years. They're going to have the fullback at 6'2", with the lower center of gravity, and then the taller sift blocker at the tight end position opposite George Kittle, who's also a good pass protector. That's going to allow George Kittle to go out on some pass routes. The 49ers have that for 12 personnel, for 21 personnel, and for 22 personnel, 2 backs and 2 tight ends. The common theme around all of this is that it's giving adaptability to Brock Purdy's offense. They have invested in Brock Purdy's offense. The cuts on this team, pay-wise, have come mainly on the defensive side of the ball. And there, they couldn't afford, there's not much room to get worse defensively if you're the 49ers. A lot of people are living in this fantasy that this team was good last year on the defensive side of the ball, and it wasn't. They're number 26. Number 29 against the run was even worse than that. So, even if the bottom completely falls out of the defense talent-wise, which I don't think it will because this is such a good defensive line draft class, but even if the bottom completely falls out, they're only going from number 29 to number 32. It's not like you could fall more than 3 spots when you were where you were last year with the 49ers. So that's why we see this team realize that, okay, you're already bad last year. You could take some lumps defensively from youth because you're obviously going to draft some of those defensive linemen on that side of the ball while you're waiting for that defense to rise back up, because it did take a team like the Rams a while. That's just the natural progression in the NFL. Make sure that that offensive continuity can carry the team moving forward, and then get a little boost from special teams because those guys absolutely sucked last year. They lost 65 expected points on special teams. But the centerpiece of all of this, when we talk about foundational pillars, the pillar that's bigger than all the other pillars is the quarterback, Brock Purdy. And the 49ers' actions, their willingness to give the defense runway to develop over the course of the 2025 season, that all points back at their faith in number 13, the quarterback. He's going to be paid like the centerpiece of the team, and the 49ers already are showing him trust to be the centerpiece of the team. That's because their offseason plan, which is making this roster younger and more efficient, is now pivoting toward that big money quarterback. We were talking about it so academically and so philosophically about a week and a half ago when we were on that university campus. Do you guys remember that? The University of the South. We're walking around and we were talking about the 49ers' philosophical shift. And, you know, I call it a strategic shift, not a philosophical shift, because I think that philosophically, this is what happens in the NFL. The quarterback matures into his veteran deal, and the roster and your strategy better mature along with it. And that's exactly what we're seeing with the 49ers right now. You better trim fat, become cost efficient, build a vibrant defense. I mean, you look at the spending allocations of a team like the Rams, of a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, 70% of their cap space is going toward the offense. The defense is on this young, hungry, cost-controlled basis. The 49ers are currently at 50-50, but it's going to be moving toward that 70-30, maybe even 75-25 division. And when that money is pouring into the offense and Brock Purdy is making the biggest chunk of that offensive money, you can see on the pie chart here, he's in that blue sector. When that does happen, you're relying on him to be the locomotive that pulls the train. Beautiful spring day. Gotta love it. Well, it's not spring, is it?